Terra Papers, Part 2 continuing. This is after the Hindu religion was born, which is an Assyrian allegiance. It's a warrior allegiance, which has the swastika. You have the Masons, which is the lizard race in Egypt. They're posing and playing gods in all different types of religions, so they created the religious race. You have the Ramens, the Romans, which worshipped the Ra sun god, which was Ra was also Syrian Dak warriors, and they are called the Dak warriors were renamed as the Dracons, reptilian Dracos, I would think. They settled in the Mediterranean, so they always wanted to overthrow Egypt. They were the Ra'im. They had the lost memories of Enlil and Ea. That's where we get our Bible stories from. So they co-founded Rome. There was a belief that Remus and Romulus, they were raised by a she-wolf. So what they do is they end up going to war with the Egyptians, and lizards control with the mind. So they use mind control, and they let Rome rule as an empire, just as long as the lizards are still in control. People have said that there's an underground base underneath Rome, but I've posted several underground bases on Canada Street News November 17th issue. So please see that. Hindus are the Aryan, is an Aryan faction, white with the caste system. And Iesus later was taken over by it became the church. Paul was a disciple of Iesu, but later on he went with Rome, which is a Roman faction. It's all about money and politics. And the church has always tried to get rid of the bloodline of Iesu, which is the Holy Grail. Okay, so I'm going to go into the Jesus issue right after I get into I want to get this Muslim stuff out of the way and all these warrior factions. But the Muslims is an Orion MK faction, also a warrior faction. Islam was born and meant surrender to God, and it went in to conquer the Holy Land to protect which is Israel, to protect the bloodline of the Holy Grail, Iesu's family bloodline. There in 1000 AD were the assassins. They were the Orion lords, and they used drugs to manipulate cultures. There's also a powerful force against the Crusaders. The Crusaders were supposed to go in to look for the Holy Grail, which they thought it was a cup. Meanwhile, it was the holy bloodline of Iesu, which I get into in a separate video. But this Orion faction knew that they had to protect the bloodline of the queens. So these assassins were actually protectors of Iesu, much like the Muslims were. The church was not. So they were a powerful force against the Crusaders. The Crusaders were said to go in and attack the Muslims later, but actually they were going to go and destroy the Iesu's bloodline, the bloodline that survived, which were the Fisher Kings and the Avalon Queens that took off to France and became the Merovingian bloodline, which is the 13th Illuminati bloodline. 1000 AD, the Lizard Empire is not concerned. They still play God. There's a Germanic power in Hesse, Germany, run by Charlemagne. It's a SSS. Charlemagne forms the Rosicrucians. It's a secret society. Order of the Brotherhood of the Snake, that was Enlil's first Brotherhood secret society. It's called the Illuminati, the Enlightened Ones, and they have the symbol of the one snake. Rome and the Church are convinced that the threat of Iesu's descendants are eliminated, and the papacy in Rome grows very much stronger. There's several secret societies that are formed because the Orion and Syrian crews keep penetrating the Earth, the electric net, and try to get to the human race to try to, win our power over. So what the lizards did was, there's too many enlightened ones. They infiltrate. They have a hunt down, inquisitions everywhere simultaneously, and there's a battle in the skies in history. There's UFOs and ships breaking apart. There's chemicals falling and aliens and bacteria falling from the sky, which apparently causes the Black Plague. This is Terra Papers 2. And UFO sightings are found everywhere. 100 million people die of the Black Plague. In 1350, the Christian Church blames the Jews, the Hebrews, for the Black Plague. Now the Hebrews are being persecuted, or the Christians were once persecuted. The Christians used to be bloodline of Iesu, the early church, but then remember Paul took that over and went on board with the Romans, the Ramans. Remember that song called Peter, Paul, and Mary? So it's Mary is the rock, it's not Peter, according to George Cavasilis, and according to me, I believe that too. So the woman has always been, the mother goddess bloodline has always been taken down by this lizard race, which is predominantly a male faction. The secret societies are male run anyway. 1500, you have your first bank formed, your Federal Reserve. Take note of this because the world dollar is going to be coming from this faction. Rome, the British Empire, has their own dollar, so they're coming in with this world dollar, which is the New World Order that they promised to have, so do not buy into this. The Medici family collect fees for the church in 1500 of Rome for Pope John XXIII. They become the prominent bankers of Europe. In 1600 AD, the Bank of Amsterdam forms. They issue paper backed by assets, fiat currency. They end up printing more paper, which is now, that's all they're doing is printing paper out of nothing, backed by no assets. William of Orange, who's in Germany, he goes on the throne of England. So the German throne is actually in England. The British Empire is actually German. The Queen Elizabeth is German. William of Orange is, he takes over the throne of England, and William of Orange is a Freemason, stonemason, Shetty lizard, underground lizards which served Enlil in the past and overthrew Ra, remember that. And played God once and have been running the planet ever since under the guise of God and all these other crazy religions. So the Bank of England is formed by a guy called William Patterson. He's a Scotsman. He's also Mason. And the Bank of France, another Scottish guy called John Law, forms another bank. So the centralized banking is done by the lizards. They cannot let the Sirius Orion crews sneak in. So the lizards control the whole money system. That's why we need to have our own money system backed by our barter and trade, our word. And the only way we can become free is if we become masters of our own self and our own identity. Each species must be accountable for their own in the ascension of Earth. 1700 AD, the Europeans flee to the New World. They want to flee the system. The lizards see it as an opportunity to exploit the new Americas. 1674, the Rosicrucians form in Pennsylvania. There's lodges that are set up in Grand Masters. There's a revolutionary war run by all Freemasons. The Muslims, so they take over, the Masons take over the New World. The dollar bill with the all-seeing eye is a Freemasonic symbol showing the omnipotent God, which is Ra, which they fake, that is still in charge, but he's not. The Ra religious, and the new empire of the lizards. With the pyramid has been the original symbol of the stonecutters, which were the stonemasons that used to form statues and monuments on early Earth. The eagle was replaced. It used to be called a phoenix, and the Phoenix Archives is the Ascended Masters website. So that's also run by these underground shape-shifting reptiles which live off our energy. So be careful. So it used to be the phoenix, now it was the eagle, and it's symbolized as rising from the ashes, a new empire from the burning away of the old. So the Bank of the U.S. is Freemasonic. The throne of Germany, King George, and England is the House of Hanover, which is the Queen. So all these secret societies, they practice with an unseen hand, which is guided by the lizard. They create wars. They finance both sides because war is profit. Okay. I'm going to go back to Iesu's time, and then we'll continue on with the 1800s AD, because 1800s AD goes into how the Greys came in and started the underground bases and started seducing the presidents, and we lost our freedom. So it's very important that you keep track now of who is going to be the problem. Our media is owned by the reptilian race. You see all the lizard symbols all over the place, and you see the Sobe drinks and everything else, the star symbols, the Mazda, all the crazy stuff. And you'll see who owns the Illuminati corporations. They plan to tank those and set up a world dollar. Don't buy into it. We need to be sovereign independently. Go local. Create your own currency, your own list of bartering and trading amongst each other with your own type of currency. And we can link up globally through internet. But it's going to take the human race to do it on their own. So do not bow down to any masters. Okay, so I will see you in the next video. See you, bye. Be free. Every single species, including the reptilian race. This is Freemasons. This is humans, dogs, cats, lizards, birds, and bees. You need to claim your own sovereignty if you want to stay on Earth.